Here we have Season 3 Path of the Beast. Highlights a lot of the big differences here. The new class Rimeblood, a new map Snarefell Rift that looks very interesting. New cosmetics of postures and celebrations. Of course, a new dragon pass. New story arc. I will be reading the first story arc at the end of the video here. Discorrelation of riders and dragons. So that would be where any class now can ride any dragon. So you can play Marauder but still have the, say, the new Thornweaver's dragon. You can have their, what is it, Divine Snout? Is that what it's called? Sorry, I'm pretty bad with the dragon names. So yeah, let's go to Thornweaver here, and you can equip, see I have a Stone Snout here, so you can equip literally any dragon you have unlocked, which is really interesting. Alright, so what we have here is Century Age of Ashes Season 3 with the new Rimeblood class. I'm really curious about this. This seems... okay, I love wolves, I love dragons, I'm in a good place, right? So as you can see, they don't have their own dragon, which is completely new. Another 2 abilities. Feral Charge, a deadly rush on a locked enemy, dealing damage and knocking them back. Or Winter's Judgment, tracking projectile that replenishes flame breath gauge and grants additional fireballs for an ally, or decreases flame breath gauge and fireball for an enemy for a few seconds. I think the Feral Charge looks most interesting. I want to see how that goes. I am just in free flight right now, so I can kind of experiment and see what these abilities are like. Alright. Let's find an enemy and see what this ability does. Okay, so it's a bit like Blast. It kind of has a... doesn't auto-lock on, it looks like. Oh no, that's that one. Okay. So it does about the same amount of damage as a fireball, it looks like. Then what does this do? I honestly should have read more about their abilities. Maybe I'll do that in a second. This is really interesting, though. Okay. I'm not seeing much of the knockback, but the fact that it can close distances is pretty huge. And they did just change some other small features. Like, as you can see, I have 3 fireballs now. They're also slightly easier to dodge, apparently. I haven't experimented with that. And they have changed the UI so that it looks a little different when you've targeted someone. Another thing with this class is that you can continue using Fire Breath even once your gauge is empty, but it costs you stamina. As you can see, I was at full stamina when I started chasing this guy, but now it's empty. So that's interesting. Okay, now where'd the enemy spawn? Okay. Okay, that's really fun, actually. That could be really useful. I wonder what the range is on that, because you can cover pretty crazy distances. And, like, Carnage using it to really jump on someone with a lot of points. Cross distance is pretty crazy. I'm gonna let him try to maybe get a little further away and see how far I can get. Okay. Oh yeah. It's got a massive range. Granted, if you're too far away, it'll be hard to lock onto enemies. But, that just still has some crazy range. I'm gonna have to see more about what that ability does. So yeah, I'm gonna go pop back out here. Okay. So yeah, the Draconic Vigor is the one I was talking about at first, so it'll cost more stamina to use more Flame Breath. I think it's really useful, but it's going to be pretty difficult. You have to keep a sharp eye on your stamina because you might not even realize you're out of Flame Breath until all of a sudden you're in the middle of a fight and out of stamina, which is really awful spot to be. So the ability I wasn't sure about is Hallowed Hailstorm. Hurls a lingering ice trail, providing a damage boost to allies. and impairing the steering of enemies. So kind of like hitting someone with ice bolts. Or frost bolts, sorry. And then their rage, which compared to other games would be like an ultimate ability. It applies it to all allies regardless of position. So you're gonna get the damage boost to all allies. So this is interesting. They're a lot more support focused than I would think, whereas, you know, Windguard is pretty support focused as well, but they tend to focus on shielding allies, whereas the Rimeblood will obviously give a boost to allies. Damage. Okay, so tracking projectile. Definitely gonna try this out. And then I want to see how this ability works. The frost one that I was using before, the one that's triangle for those on PlayStation, or I guess that'd be Y on Xbox. I wonder, can I stop it midair? Because it says people who fly through it. Oh, okay, so there's a frost trail here. So yes, a bit like smoke trail, anyone who flies through it will be affected by it. Okay. So let's go find that enemy again. I guess I'll use the Berserk Dragon. Still interesting. I think I like the other one better, where you can really target enemies. Okay. So this does have a lot of range. You could probably cut off a whole pass. Like if you launch that in one of these side passages here or something, that might be pretty difficult for some other enemies to contend with. So yeah, it looks like this doesn't do a lot of damage, but again, it's gonna have that big bonus of, I believe it said slowing enemies down, which would be pretty huge. Looks like the training enemy may have gotten a little more health. So yeah, I should have given some bonuses to my allies now as well, so that they'd be doing more damage. I wonder, it's pretty hard to test that in just the training range here. But yeah, I wonder if that has like a range of effect, or... Sorry, my flight is apparently really bad. Yeah, I'm curious. So then... If I like... Okay. I like shot that forward. Ah, I missed completely. I'm interested in trying this in a proper game though. I might upload another video later with me and a friend playing to get a better idea of how this plays in a proper game, because I think that would make a pretty huge difference. Yeah, this is definitely really interesting. I'm liking the class. I don't know if they're my favorite yet, but I'm looking forward to trying them out. And I am very happy to finally have the ability to use the Windguard Dragon in a variety of circumstances, because I love the Windguard class. However, it unfortunately, they tend to struggle a bit unless you are playing more team focused and supportive. So game modes like Carnage, it can be pretty rough since they don't have any offensive capabilities. Now in that vein, I'd say that the new Rimeblood class are in an interesting place, because they seem pretty offensive focused, but with a good bit of team play, which I look forward to seeing how that plays out in the game. Alright, on that note, I think I'm going to quit here. I said I'm going to quit here. So yeah, I think all I have left at this point is I would like to read what we have here in the new lore. We have this first piece that's released with the Rimeblood. I believe it's going to be about them, just like the Thornweaver of last season had a very elaborate 8-act story that was very immersive, and I look forward to seeing what this one has to do for us. So Act 1, A Cursed Mark. Legends tell of a treasure lost within an eternal blizzard, in a region known only as Snarefell. far south from the Valkyrian range. Although its origins were forgotten long ago, the tale is still known to some. Those who get past its ferocious guardians would be rewarded with a power eternal, and while many have come to claim it, none have lived for long. The Fierster Marauder clan, settled in the mountains, has been searching for it for decades, and while they have adapted to the harsh climate, they did not get closer to their goal, until recently. Okay, so I think just off that first paragraph here, the Rimebloods would then be kind of descended from Marauders, which is an interesting thing. I am going to butcher this name. Odalaus was still drunk from the night prior. The frost had seeped into his tent, but he was more than used to that. As one of the strongest of his battle brothers, he is well respected. And although still young and reckless, he is loyal to no end. He rubs his crusted eyes, blows his nose, and spits in the corner. This was the closest thing to a morning routine to him. But as he reached for his equipment, he noticed something was different. A mark bathed in an unnatural purple hue was left upon the back of his hand. This sobered him instantly. He gathered his things at great haste, put on his horned helmet, and stepped out of his tent. Shielding his eyes from the sun's reflection off the desert of snow, he reaches for the reins of his blood chaser Icefang. Fitting name, knowing, as I assume we know where this is going. He gives the rein a tug, letting the dragon know to follow him. Passing through the camp, he nods to all his fellow marauders. First to Valerum the bear, who is skinning a kill from last night. Then Sifvale the swift, who is sharpening her glaive with a whetstone. Then Aeskiel the watcher, who is standing on guard atop a quickly made wooden watchtower. Until he finally makes it to the tent of elders to learn what this mark could possibly mean. He hitches the reins of his dragon on a post outside. Stepping into the tent, Odalaus stands before the elders, who sit upon carved bone chairs in front of a large fire pit. He holds out his hand, letting them all see the mark, and asks what it means. The elders murmur between themselves until one stands up. "It is a curse, my boy, one which drives its victims mad and feral. You would become more violent upon each moon passing until none could recognize you." Odalaus looks at the mark, fear gripping him for the first time in recent memory. "Our rules are clear. You cannot be allowed to stay with us bearing such a mark, which leaves you two choices: exile or death." Deep down, the young marauder knew what they said was true, for he felt a change within himself already, one that was growing more and more with each moment. "Then I shall leave, to spare you from myself," Odalaus replied. Storming out of the tent, he bid a last farewell to his battle brothers, before mounting Icefang and flying away.